Greetings and welcome to another episode of Going All In, Get the Edge You Need to Succeed. I'm Dr. McKinley, and today we have another awesome spotlight session with Char Byington and Kris Hilvers from the Idaho State University Masters of Science and Dietetic Internship program based in Pocatello, Idaho. Check it out. All right, welcome to the podcast. To get us started for this episode, I would love for each of you to give us a quick intro to you, your journey to RD, and how you landed with Idaho State.
I'll start. I'm Char Byington. I'm the director here at Idaho State University, MS in Nutrition DI. And my journey actually was as a non-traditional student. I finished a dietetics program in my 30s, so I kind of came into this as an old lady, as it were. And I actually got my education here at ISU, so I'm kind of an inborn person, inbred, I guess, but I love it here. This is where I'm from. And after working in some environments at the WIC clinic, and I worked for extension for a while, a position here at ISU opened up as the DI director, and I had been thinking that would be an awesome position, so I put in for it. And the rest is history. So here we are. I've been here for several years now, and I really like it here. It's a fun job, very challenging and busy, and it's awesome.
And my name is Kris Hilvers, and I'm located in Boise, where Char is actually in Pocatello. And I am the internship coordinator in the Treasure Valley area. And I have been a dietitian for I think I'm coming on 30 years. My main focus has always been in clinical nutrition as a clinical dietitian at one of the area hospitals. But I also have for several years been an adjunct faculty for the Idaho State University program, and just took over the coordinator position, about 3 years ago, I think. And just absolutely love working with the interns and helping them get through this really important time. And I think I've been with ISU for, including the adjunct faculty position, about 16 or 17 years, somewhere around there. So I really, really enjoy it.
All right, perfect. Well, I'm going to let you jump into telling us all about your program.
Just a really brief history on Idaho State University. We were founded as Idaho State College, as you can see, quite a long time ago in 1901. We moved to being Idaho State University in the 50s. So we've been a part of the education system in Idaho for a long time. What makes us unique, I would say, to a lot of institutions around the country, and definitely in Idaho, is that we have a lot of degree programs in the institution, ranging from certificates all the way up to doctoral degrees. We have a very vibrant College of Technology here on the Idaho State University campus, and amongst a bunch of programs, we land, as far as dietetics go, within the health professions side of it, and ISU is actually our designated health professions university. And part of the core theme underneath the mission statement for ISU is that we provide leadership in the health sciences, and that Idaho State University provides statewide leadership in the health sciences. So we, as a university, have a great many of programs, which my next slide will illustrate. I'm not going to belabor what's available, but nutrition and dietetics is in the College of Health here at Idaho State University. And you can see there's a lot of different programs that fit within the College of Health, and we also have a thriving College of Pharmacy. So that's where we fit in the bigger picture of ISU. So we're an important program within a very important college here. Now, Idaho, I know some of your viewers will not really be familiar with where Idaho even is, and they'll have to look it up on a map somewhere. So I like to show this picture. We are in the mountain west out here. And so Montana is one of our bordering states, Wyoming, and we also have Washington and Oregon. So our program itself is, as Kris and I have kind of illustrated, is divided across the state. So let me kind of walk you through the geography of how this program is situated in Idaho and how many people that we match. We are accredited to match 18 interns through the spring match. And what this looks like is 10 people would match into the Pocatello program. And of those 10, 2 of them would then be seated in Twin Falls. The other half of the program is distributed in Meridian, so 8 go to that location. So I want to kind of point out on the map here, Pocatello is in the southeast corner of Idaho. Twin Falls is literally in the middle between Kris and myself. And then Meridian is right by Boise. You won't see it listed on these maps, but it's so close to Boise that we just consider it the same thing. So that's how it looks as far as where we're located. We offer a Master's of Nutrition and in conjunction with the internship. So this is just a list of the courses that students would take as part of their program. Their first fall semester, after they get started, they don't go to rotations. That first fall is coursework only. And that, I think, is an important item for students to be aware of, simply because if they come to us from another state, they can stay home that first fall and take their classes because they're all online. We need them to move to the area at the beginning of spring semester, so January, because their rotations are then on site, and we are the ones that make all those arrangements for them. So they will be doing their rotations along with their capstone research project and taking some classes at the same time for the rest of the program. So we are a 4-semester program, and I want to point out that they do rotations and some classes during summer as well. We would consider ourselves having a community concentration as a program. This is a list of some of the places where interns get to practice some of those community skills. They go to diabetes, kidney, oncology, outpatient, sports nutrition, and then WIC is, for us, one of the longer rotations that they go to. In Pocatello, they'll be at their WIC rotation for 4 weeks. In Meridian, they would be there for 5. So not all programs have such a lengthy WIC rotation, so that we're really proud of that one, and we've got a lot built into it. Our program performance, we have done really well as a program. Our pass rates are very good. Our last complete cohort to test, we had 100% pass rate. We're still bringing in data from our first group that graduated with the master's, so I can't tell you their exact numbers yet. But we meet our student learning outcomes, our program objectives. We've done very well as the program overall. So we're meeting our goals, and interns are successfully completing the program and moving on to work as dietitians. So what do we look at for the criteria from our applicants? This is basically a list in front of you of some of the ranked order of what we're looking at when we are evaluating applications. GPA does matter. We evaluate the science and the professional separately. My experience has told me that students sometimes will struggle with some of those hard science classes. And so the professional grades tend to carry them there. We do look at experience. It does not all have to be a paid experience. We're happy with interns doing what they can to find some volunteer, which I realize with COVID has been more challenging. Things are getting a little bit better now. We do take that into account when looking at their experience. We look at recommendations very seriously. So we really encourage applicants to think really carefully who they ask to serve as a recommender, because that insight is important. And for us, we want to see both a work experience recommendation as well as academic. We care about both sides. And then we look at involvement. What are they doing for student involvement on campus? Their personal statement is very important to us as well. We look at that for grammar and things like that. Now, the nice part about ISU is the students do not have to take the GRE. That has been waived for our program, so that can save them some time and some money. If they're interested at ISU, they don't have to worry about that part. Because we are a combined graduate program, students will have to apply both through DICAS at the same time that they apply to the ISU graduate school. They're separate application processes, so they need to do both. And the deadline is the same of February 15th. We are very blessed. A lot of our students that come to us are from the Western region states, so California, and Oregon, and Washington, and places like that. We are recognized as a Western region graduate program. And so what that means is that students from Western states just have to tell me that that's where they're from, and I can put their name on the list and they will be given in-state tuition. And for those students who would want to come to us from outside of the Western region, ISU also has available a non-resident tuition waiver. And this one can drop the tuition down to in-state rates as well. There are some strings attached, though. This one is granted based on GPA and available funding. And so a student who's got a higher GPA is more likely to get this over one with a lower GPA. So the closer to that 3.0 minimum GPA we have, it depends on their funding as to whether that student could get something. So that's the strings attached to that one, whereas the WRGP is strictly based on where you come from, which I appreciate that because that can save our students a lot of money. So this is kind of the end of just some discussion about our program, but I just like to throw in some fun facts. People don't know a lot about Idaho, and Pocatello is kind of a strange name and they haven't heard of us. So I do like to point out geographically that Pocatello is really close to some very famous spots. Yellowstone National Park is only a 3-hour drive away from me. Grand Teton is on the other side of that same mountain range. You have to go a different direction, but it's also about 3 hours away, so not far. And Sun Valley, I'm sure people have heard of Sun Valley. That's not very far away from me as well. One thing about Idaho we are known for is our outdoor activity. So students who really enjoy hiking and mountain biking and skiing are going to love it here. That's some of it in their free time. They do get a little free time in our program. Maybe not a lot, but they get some. And so during this time of the year when they're with us in the winter, they've got lots of skiing available to them. And a lot of Idaho, seriously, half of our population now lives by Kris. It didn't used to be that way. I'm from this great state, but a lot of people live in the Treasure Valley. The Boise area has just exploded with growth. And so what I have found is that lots of students are interested in what life is like in the Treasure Valley. It has a small urban feel to it. And then there's more skiing available over there. The mountains are not as close as they are here for me in Pocatello, but Bogus Basin is not far from where Kris lives. So we have neat things to offer.
All right, thank you for that overview. I'm going to jump right into the 5 questions that I ask all of the programs that come on the podcast. And these questions were put together with the help of my students to make sure I was asking the questions they really wanted to know the answers to. And so my first question is, what is one thing that you just love to see when reading applicants' personal statements?
One of the things that I look at is creativity, and kind of starting the letter off with that catches my attention, and then going into why they are into wanting to get into dietetics, what their goals are, what part of dietetics they're interested in, and maybe some unique things that they've done in their undergraduate studies to kind of help them get to where they are.
I like the personal statements to be really well organized. It makes it easier if it has a good flow to read. And that tells me a lot about how they're going to do on their assignments and stuff too. So it's kind of a dual way to assess things. But one of my really, really favorite things is when, and I know this sounds kind of silly, but our website talks about what we want them to answer in their personal statement. And I like it when they really actually answer our questions. And what are their long-term goals? What are their short-term goals? And I'm very appreciative of, and I understand where students are coming from when they're getting ready to apply, that all they can see in front of them is that they want to get an internship. And I get that. I was in their shoes once too. But I do like it if they can consider beyond just that picture, to actually consider what they'd like to be doing if they had their ideal job in front of them in 3 or 4 or 5 years. So I always kind of like to see that they think beyond just this immediate, please let me get an internship. So.
All right, so moving on to resumes. True or false? An applicant's resume should be one page and one page only. Either way, why?
False. I'm fine with it being longer than one page. I think, and this is because maybe it's because here at ISU we do have a few non-traditional students. And so sometimes you need to bump into that second page to demonstrate all of your work experience and the things that you've done to get you where you're at. So beyond 2 pages, no, but I'm fine with up to 2. What about you, Kris?
Yeah, I agree. Some people they have a lot of either previous jobs that, it'd be nice to hear about, or experience, or extracurricular stuff. And so, and a lot of times you just can't put that on one page, but I agree, more than 2 pages is a little much, but definitely can go into 2 pages.
All right, well, my next question is my favorite question to ask directors. And it's, what is one thing, and this could be more than one thing, that an applicant may do that might raise some red flags for you, where you might think this applicant might not be the best fit for our program?
Oh, Erin, this was such a good question, and I really had to think about it. One of the things that really came to my mind, and thankfully we have not seen this very often, just a handful of times, but there are students, and I don't know why they do this, but they will choose not to enter their coursework into DICAS. And so they'll have this blank list of stuff, and what would happen is if you wanted to know what their GPA was on their professional and on their science, you're going to have to do the calculations for them. And that's basically not kosher, because that takes a lot of time we don't have as a program, or I'm going to have my secretary do it or something like that. So that one absolutely drives me crazy. And then right behind there, I would say if there's misspellings or poor grammar, they're going into a graduate program and there's going to be a lot of writing, and they need to be able to have good writing skills. So that one would really just raise some red flags for me. So I always like to encourage, like our particular students who are getting their undergraduate degree here, I really encourage them to please take time to have somebody look their application over. They've got friends, they've got family. The professors in their department are there to help them look things over. So take the time and have somebody look it over. And then the other thing, they need to remember when they're setting up for their interview, be on time. Be there a couple minutes early for their interview, actually. Be sure that they're aware of the time difference if they're from another state. Take the time to recognize they may be an hour or 2 different from where we are. And that would go across any program that they're applying to. So just look at everything. Be ready and be prepared.
Yeah, I would agree with that. In addition to, making sure that all the grades are in there. Also, any of your work experience or volunteer experience or anything like that, it's difficult when there's nothing put in those sections, and then we're trying to pull them out from the personal letter. It just doesn't, it's not quite the same. And so then you don't get, when I'm reading that and I don't see that they put anything in for experience or volunteer activities or anything like that, then that really doesn't show very well. I would agree with the reading your personal statement, having somebody else read it and read it over and over and over again to catch all the grammar and all of the run-on sentences and everything like that. That's really important. And then just making sure that you really get, choose your references really wisely, because you want to make sure that they're going to give you, shine you, really give you some good recommendations.
All right, so my fourth question, what is one aspect of the program that you feel really separates you from the competition?
This is a really good question too, Erin, and I had to think about that, because students do ask us that, what makes you different? And I think I can't give you just one thing. I do feel like the opportunity to have the chance to do rotations in either a place like Pocatello or Twin, or a larger city like Meridian, having that opportunity through one program, at least in Idaho, that is unique for us. And so I'm pretty proud of that. And I know, when I was putting together my thoughts on this, I realized that programs have good faculty I honestly feel like because I'm also the department chair, and I work with the most amazing group of faculty here. Kris and I are basically Velcroed as far as how this program runs. We get along so amazingly well on that level, and that's very important. And then the faculty that they would work with for their graduate courses are amazing people, and they care a great deal about the students. They honestly do. They care a great deal about them. And I feel like our department working relationship spills over into every aspect of how we treat our students, our interns, because we get along so well together that we are a cohesive team. And I really feel like our students can see that in our program. And maybe I'm bragging about that, but we're small. We're a small program, we're a small department. And so the fact that we get along so well together is critical for the healthy functioning. And we value our students. And so it really plays over. And the other group that we have an excellent working relationship with then is our preceptors. The Idaho State University program is filled with ISU graduates as far as our preceptors go. Between Treasure Valley, I would say over half, and Kris can correct me if she thinks I'm wrong, but I would easily guess that over half to maybe 3/4 of our preceptors are graduates of our program. And so they value what they got here, and they stay here and they live here and they work here. And so they appreciate the program and they support it wholeheartedly. And so I really feel that those two features of how well we get along between our group and then our preceptors makes us, whether it makes us unique, I don't know, but it does make us an excellent program to work with. What do you think, Kris?
Yeah, I agree. We do as a group, we get along really well and we work really well together. And I think it's very evident that, we really want the interns to succeed in both the master's part and the internship. And I'd also agree with the comment about the preceptors. We really do have great preceptors. I often get contacted from preceptors saying either, I'll take on some more interns, or we'd really like to start back up taking interns again. Or I get a hold of people that have never precepted before saying, I'd love to take, some interns on. How can I get involved? And so we have a dietetic group that they really want to help out with interns to make sure we get some good, dietitians coming out of the program. So it's evident. Mm-hmm.
And I just had another thought, if I can,
Yeah.
It's okay to add. Our state academy affiliate, I'm the president of IAM this year. So we work really well, even at that level, with students, because we recognize them as the future. And so there's this direct connection into the academy. Membership is required, and we view what we're doing with our students critically as far as the future of the program. And they're always really encouraged to go to state meetings and things like that and do some poster presentations. And so there's just this amazing connection, I'd say, within the overall state as far as dietitians. And so our program is a critical piece to that picture.
All right, my last question of the 5 is a 2-part question. So the first part, or first half, is what would be the 3 best adjectives, and these can be descriptors or phrases, whatever's easier, that you would feel best describe your program overall.
I will start.
Okay.
I think we're community centered. I think we're very supportive, and quite truthfully, we are amazing. Just a little pride there. Oh.
Let's see if I can think of some additional ones. Let's see. I think we're very flexible. We are willing and able to work with the interns on either making changes to rotations or adding certain things into their rotations that they want to do. And gosh, I'm trying to think of another one. Maybe supportive. We're always there. they can kind of reach us at any point in time if they have any questions or they need any help or they're stressing out, so we can really help them out.
All right. So the second half, very similar to the first: 3 adjectives, descriptors, or phrases to describe your ideal applicant.
This question comes up a lot, actually, from students. What are you looking for?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't surprised to see this. I would say flexibility. And I'm sorry if I steal all your words, Kris, but
You're going to, I'm sure.
I know, because we really do see this kind of from the same perspective. But the flexibility is very important. They need to be organized, and they really do need to be smart, and not just academically smart, but smart on how to handle time, how to take care of themselves. And academics, they do need to have a degree. They need to be smart book-wise, but it's bigger picture than just that.
Yeah, I would agree. Good writing skills, I think, is important. Flexible, because things change. Sometimes we're on the preceptor's, schedule. And so we get it all figured out, and it sometimes just doesn't go that way all the time. So being flexible, and time management skills and stress management skills is, I think, really important.
All right. Well, you mentioned that awesome exam pass rate earlier. So how are you integrating RD exam review into the program?
That's a really good question, Erin. We work with review programs towards the end of their last semester. Right now, we're working with Gene Inman, and that can change in the future, but we have a dedicated time set aside for them to do the review. We feel that's very important. That was added before I came on board as the DI director, because it really seemed to make a difference on pass rates. So we're sticking with that.
And my last question, are there any aspects of the program that have been changed for the better because of the COVID-19 pandemic?
I think that our kidney rotations became very creative, and they had to basically ask students not to go for almost a year, I'd say. And what they ended up doing is pulling together some virtual work with the students and the interns. And we were able to do some of that, at least on my side of the state. We have 2 different kidney providers that we work with, but the company Fresenius that handles it over here was able to do that. And that helped us to get that rotation back on board. And so I was really appreciative of that. And I also feel like another positive thing that came out of it was the understanding of just how valuable the clinical experience is. We already knew that going into it, but it just really was illustrated to us. And so our clinical preceptors have done everything they can to make sure that the experience still works. And once they figured out what they were doing, and then things got smoother. So in reality, I would say the ISU program is functioning pretty much at the same level as it did prior to the pandemic. There's not many adjustments that we need to make anymore. We had to do, obviously, for last spring was pretty bad, but not so much anymore. What do you think, Kris?
Yeah, I would agree. The telemedicine has really taken hold. I think there is, just from here on out, going to be a component of a lot of the rotations incorporating telemedicine into their jobs. And so they're getting a lot of experience with that. So I think that was probably is a good thing that's come out of that.
Yeah, like the WIC program, for instance, really had to make some adjustments because they still have the waiver at this point. Down the road, I'm sure that will lift. And so they're not seeing very many clients in the clinics right now, but they have done you can call it telemedicine. It's not via cameras. Usually they're just doing phone calls, but they have been able to still maintain contact with clients, and interns have still been able to maintain a rotation because of that. So it's been good.
All right. Well, that was all the questions that I had. So I would love to close out this episode with a quick take-home message from both of you to potential applicants.
All right. Well, I would encourage people to do some investigation. Where is Idaho? We're a wonderful program over here. We're going to offer amazing support, very unified faculty, preceptors that love to work with students. And we have, for a small state, we have a lot to offer. And if you have any questions, I always encourage people just to reach out and contact us. We're here and we'll get right back with you.
Yeah, and I would say between now and the application deadline, get maybe some experience in different areas, just so you can kind of see what's out there in the dietetic field. So you can write that down on your application and, just makes you more well-rounded.
Thank you again for being with me on the podcast today. And for those at home who would like some more information on the program at Idaho State and to get in touch with Char or Kris, I've included their program website link in the description below this video. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode with another awesome dietetic internship. And we'll see you next time. Bye.